A topic I've seen talked about a lot in the cannabis space on YouTube is the harvest window for the plant. It seems pretty obvious, right? You'd assume it's like any other fruiting plant that ripens and you just pluck the sucker off. That could just be me though, but there are a couple different signs your plant can show you to determine if she's ready for harvest. But first, tell me this. What is it that you want from your high? Can you answer that question? How would you answer it? For this particular cubby of cannabis cultivation, I'm gonna save terpenes, flavonoids, and cannabinoids for another video and focus specifically on how your high changes based on your harvest window, aka when you decide to cut. If you harvest a little early, your high will probably be more heady and energetic, but can come with anxiety or paranoia for some people. If you harvest at peak maturity, you'll probably get a more euphoric, joyful, and well-rounded high. I suppose some people might find it too intense strain to strain, and if you harvest too late, you're more likely to experience a sleepy and calming body high that will probably knock you out. Some people call this couch lock. You might feel groggy or lazy, but again, you might actually want that, I don't know. With all that in mind though, how do we actually know what's early, peak, and too late? As far as I can tell, there's about 5 signs that are widely agreed upon, the first of which being trichome color. In case you don't know what trichomes are, they're almost like mushroom-looking growths on the surface of leaves, stems, and flowers of the cannabis plant. Their actual reason for being there is that they act as a defense system against pests, herbivores, and like weather, harmful UV, stuff like that. There's a mix of cannabinoids, terpenes, and flavonoids inside that trichome head that can make or miss your high. So if the trichomes appear clear, then it's probably too early because there's mostly CBGA. If the trichomes appear cloudy or milky white, then you're probably nearing peak maturity because of THCA or CBDA being at its highest concentration. And if the trichomes look amber or even a little gold, then that THCA that was in the trichome is exposed to oxygen, light, and heat over time. So this degradation converts the THCA to CBNA, and when you smoke it, converts to CBN. Another tell would be the shape and color of the pistils. In case you don't know, those are pistils. They just look like hair, I guess, but they do start off as white and stick straight up when the plant enters the flowering stage of its life cycle. Cutting it down here would be way too early in my opinion. Peak maturity, I think, is considered when about 70 to 90% of the pistils have darkened to like an orange, red, or brown color, and they curl inwards too. Obviously, any more than this would probably be considered too late or overripe. At the same time though, there could be other things turning those pistils brown, like having a really hot environment, so just be careful. Here's another thing. The lower fan leaves yellowing, or in fancy terms, senescence. When your plant is at its peak flowering, it stops focusing on building structure and builds most of its energy into the developing flowers, and it maximizes resin, trichome, and terpene production. It does all this by reallocating its resources through the breakdown of chlorophyll, which is what makes the plant green. And when that chlorophyll is broken down for mobile nutrients, mostly nitrogen, it gets sent up, right? And that's what causes the fade. This, however, can be strain specific and environment specific, so you could end up with different colors other than yellow based on those things, right? Anthocyanins. So don't get it twisted. There are many things that can cause leaf fade, so be careful out there and weigh all your signs to determine it. Another easy way to tell is the buds swelling and getting dense. So the calyxes, or bract if you're a nerd, it'll fatten up and really give you that solid appearance rather than something more light and airy. Some branches might even sag a little bit because of the weight, but where there's weight, there's water. As the plant is senescing, it actually drinks less water because there isn't any new growth happening, really, and transpiration is slower because of those fan leaves fading, remember? And I guess you could count this out if you wanted, but generally, I think a good guideline is to check the breeder's flowering time if you had acquired something from one. So, they usually have something around 8 to 12 weeks depending on the strain and plant type, like autoflower as opposed to photoperiod. Just remember, it's a loose estimate and it's not the end all be all. So I hope I at least shined some light on these fundamentals, but as always, I'm always learning and looking for new information on cannabis. So if you have any other ways that I didn't mention, or you disagree with what I said, I'd love to see what y'all are thinking. But yeah, I got nothing else. Sayonara.